Hey guys, welcome back to In the Endrows, the podcast where we talk to farmers and modders alike. This week, I'm really happy to actually be joined by a genuine farmer. I've got Farmerjon9660 here. Say hi.
What's going on, people?
Hey, good to talk to you. Good to actually have a farmer on the show. I've been saying I talk to farmers and modders for the past 5 episodes, but it's nice to actually get a farmer in here, you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
gotta have the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. So, in case you're not aware, Farmerjon9660, that is his YouTube channel name. You can go check him out. But we're here to get to know him a little bit because you post. Let's just start from the beginning. I noticed in your channel, you post a 6-minute video-ish about once a month. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a story behind that, but
Sure.
yeah, I try to get at least a video a month out or something.
Yeah. What's your story behind that?
Well, if you go back about 2 years ago, I was posting like twice a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what happened, but I got off kilter and got off schedule, and yeah, I kind of stopped uploading, and it's partly my fault, but partly YouTube because my views started dwindling down too.
Right.
So I kind of said, whatever, I ain't that worried about it.
No, yeah, I mean the YouTube algorithm is certainly not easy to deal with. You'll be riding high one moment and then it'll just forget about you the next moment.
It sure will. It sure will.
It's very unpredictable that way, so yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So yeah, I watched a few of your videos. It's fun content. It's really good to get into that sort of perspective. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you farm and where you farm, and a little bit of your sort of background, because you don't talk about yourself a lot in your videos. If you've never watched a Farmer John video, you don't talk about yourself a lot. You're just showing what you're doing. You're showing what's going on that particular day. Whatever you happen to be doing when you turn on the camera, that's what you kind of show. You never really sit back or talk about your context of your farm or who you are as much, which is fine. That's just not the focus of your content. But this is a really good opportunity for people to get to know you. So why don't you talk about yourself a little bit?
Well, we farm here in central Kentucky, about 40 miles south of Louisville. If you know where Louisville is, the National Farm Machinery Show, that's right there in our neck of the woods every year. And we farm, this year, it's down to about 350 acres of corn, soybeans, hay, and we still got a few cows left. And so, yeah, that's mostly run John Deere equipment. We got a couple pieces of case equipment, but we all work public jobs. It's me, my 2 uncles, and my dad. So we all work public jobs and then farm on the side. So that's pretty much it.
Gotcha. So the farm isn't your full-time job. I mean, it would be difficult to support multiple people on a 300-acre farm. So
exactly, yeah.
No, that makes sense. But it's still cool to, get to do something different and get to have that in your life. And a lot of people would love to have that in your life. So that's cool.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So you said you mentioned equipment. So let's quickly go over what equipment you have. I caught on that you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a 4455.
Yep, that's our big dog. That's our biggest tractor.
Yep, and that's the mechanical front wheel drive, correct?
Yep, with duals.
Yep.
Back duals on it, 15-speed power shift. We're kind of leery on the hours of it, but the dash says around 4,300 hours on it for a 92 model. So, well, we're just the last couple of years we've been sinking a lot of money into it, and we think it's got 14,000, but we'll just leave it at that.
You certainly have to fix it like it's a 14,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had to replace the whole air conditioning system on it, compressor lines, everything. We had to put front seals 3 years ago. I actually had video of that, putting front seals on the MFW.
Oh, cool.
Or the front wheels on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we put a brand new interior kit last month.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
That's nice. Yeah.
It's fixed up nice now. Yeah.
No, that's cool. And you also have a 7210.
Yep, that's my number one tractor right there.
Nice. Yeah. I saw your video where you were chopping corn stalks with it.
Yep. It
So,
it generally stays on the bush hog. It If I have the decision, I usually drop it off the bush hog to go do something else with it because I just love the 10 series deers.
oh
My
yeah.
opinion.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's cool. And then so I don't know if I can remember, you have a 9400 combine?
No, we actually have a 9660.
9660. Okay. Is that an
Yep.
older video or is that did I just misread that entirely?
No, we haven't had a 9400 since 2002. So
Okay.
I was a baby then.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yep.
Yep. The 9660 is an '07 model, single wheeled, four wheel drive. It's got roughly 2,300 engine hours on it, a little under 2,000 separators. So it's an '07. It's the last year production of the 60 series before they went to the 70 series.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's the bullet rotor. So it's I guess Deere's superior rotor. You have the standard rotor, and then this is the bullet rotor series.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, I've heard of that distinction before. And
yeah,
just off the topic a little bit on what we're talking about here, it's interesting to see a lot of farmers holding on to their older John Deere combines just because they're smaller. And John Deere
well,
doesn't make smaller combines anymore.
that and the newer S series combines. I can name you three that's burnt in this county in the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years, I'd say.
The S600s and the
And
S700s.
I think they were all S600 series.
Okay.
Uh, there there's a couple S790s sitting at the Deere dealership here, but I have not seen any S7 series in the field yet around here. Uh,
Sure.
the the bigger farmers are still sticking with those S6 series.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, most of the middle acreage guys around here are still running 60, 70 series Deers. You'll have a few Walker system combines too, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Nope. Yeah, that's just a kind of interesting little development in the farming world, but your combine's pretty good and there's no reason to upgrade with your size
Oh,
and everything like that.
exactly.
Uh,
In the last 2 or 3 years, we've actually sent it to the Deer dealership. They run some kind of special where they check over everything internally on it, and
Yeah.
they've kept it they've kept it up good for us. So there's no sense in replacing it.
Exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exact. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, what other tractors have I not mentioned?
Okay, you named the 4455, the 7210.
Yep.
We have a 4055
Yep.
two wheel drive.
Yep.
That's the main hay bale. It stays on the hay baler during the summer, and then we haul wagons with it.
Mhm.
Um, that's those three right there. I've got three categories
Sure.
of our tractors. That's the workhorses / big boys.
Mhm.
Then the middle grade, we got a 6420 cab loader 4 wheel drive tractor,
Nice.
a 6310 open station loader tractor.
Mhm.
Uh, that's I guess that's the middle grade, the loader series. And then the small tractors, we got a 6210 two wheel drive,
Yep.
and then a 5425 two wheel drive open station.
Mhm.
And then the two old school tractors, I call it. It's an old John Deere 530 and a Farm All H. So,
Cool.
yeah, nine. I think it's nine, right? Yeah, nine total, something like that.
Yep, that sounds about right. I mean, yeah, you've got a nice range of horsepowers there, all the way from double digits all the way up to, your mid to high
Yeah,
triple digits.
what is that? That's the 4455 is rated at like 145
Mhm.
horsepower. So it,
Mhm.
it, it our biggest thing we pull is a 6 row corn planter and
Yeah.
then a 600 bushel grain cart. That's the two biggest things we got. So
Yeah.
it it handles them pretty good.
And what kind of planter is that?
that is it is a 1998 John Deere 1780 6-row corn, 11-row splitters. You don't
Nice.
see it. You don't see a whole lot of those planters around
Mm-mm.
because it's not the typical uh, Deere planter you think of, like a 7000 or a 7200 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's got the wheels in the front of the row units, and that's how it lifts up. Uh,
Huh.
yeah, it's you don't see a lot of them being used. I don't think. I haven't.
Right.
So,
That's a unique
but
little
I
piece
mean,
of kit.
yeah, I mean, we've had it since I think '03,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had it that long, and it still plants really good, and yeah, it does good for us.
Sure. No, that's really cool. And then you said you harvest with your 60 series and you have a 600 bushel grain cart. You pull with your 4455. Oh, that's really cool.
And we have a second combine too.
Oh, do you?
Uh-huh. It's a old Axial Flow 1660 Case International.
Oh, what do you use that for?
Well, see, when they bought it 15 years ago, whatever, we were running both corn and beans.
Mm-hmm.
But last, I'm gonna say 9 years, it's been strictly corn. We just run it in corn and run the deer and beans, and that way we're not having to swap heads and everything. And
Different
it
setups
just,
and all that other stuff
yeah,
for the different.
yeah, it just makes fall go a little bit more smoothly.
Sure. If you've got it, use it. So.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Oh, no, that's really cool. So, what kind of tillage implements do you run?
Well, we are. I'm gonna say practically no till.
Oh,
The only tillage we do is filling in some washouts that occur over the winter.
sure.
You know, we got a little 10-foot Case IH disc that I'll spit right before we plant. I'll go in and disc those, and generally they wash out again. But I mean, it's just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically all the tillage we run. I mean, we have a bunch of tillage equipment. We got that 10-foot case disc. We've got a 10-foot Kiowani coal mulcher, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you know. Those smooth out the ground right before planting.
Sure.
We've got a 10-foot chisel plow, 3-point mounted.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a 3-shank deep ripper, 3-point mounted. Those are sitting in the weeds. They haven't been hooked up in forever.
Yeah.
Then we have 2 moldboard plows too that are
Oh.
sitting in the bowl. We got a 3-bottom, 3-point mounted, and then a 4-bottom semi-mounted plow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind me asking, why is it that you do no-till? I know a lot of is it because of the reason a lot of farmers do it for erosion reasons and soil conservation, things like that, or is it for other reasons?
Well, that's probably, I'd say it's 50-50. It's
Sure.
50% conservation, trying not to make it wash, because this area of Kentucky, it, it just washes. It'll wash a flat field, honestly.
Oh.
And the other half to that coin is you have to think about in the spring, do you really want to go over the field again? Because you're already going over it for spraying, your fertilize, and your planter. So that's 3 trips across the field.
Yeah, it's just more diesel.
Yep, more diesel, more wear and tear on tractors and equipment and everything, and more time. So
Yeah. No, that's
that,
a good point.
yeah. I mean, I personally I've done a little bit of tillage, but I like working dirt and everything. But I mean, it just you got to think practical when it comes to real life farming.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely that makes sense. So
Yeah.
talked a little bit about the grain side of things, but what kind of cattle operation do you run?
We've got about 35 mama cows. They're spring calvers, cow calf, beef
Mhm.
cows.
Mhm.
Uh, we've, I mean, they're on probably what 30, 40 acres of pasture, and then we do about 50 acres of hay. So it's not a whole lot, but it just gives us a little something extra to do besides the grain.
Yeah. And they're a little synergistic. One can kind of feed into the other a little bit. You know,
Right. Yeah.
it's a whole farming system.
I have a love-hate relationship with those animals.
Yep. You know, corn doesn't cause messes and get out of fences and cause problems, right? But
And,
cows
and
certainly
try to
do.
and try to kick you when you're trying to work them, like we
Yep.
did last week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was. Ugh. Let's just say it's a good thing I didn't have the camera rolling because that video would be nothing but beep, 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 bleeps and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so how did you look? How did you come? How did you get into this farm? I should say. This is obviously like a family thing, but what
Yep.
relation was it to you growing up, and how did you decide to stick in it, or was it a choice you made, or just something you fell into and enjoy? What's the deal there?
Well, I mean, I was born into it. I mean, they've been farming for decades, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
I just, when I was born, I just got right in there and hung out and rode and started. My uncle always says I started driving the combine when I was like 7 years old, I think. I was shelling corn is when I first started running the combine, and uh, yeah, I just fell right in there, and I'm still helping them out to this day. So I'm
Nice.
there at least 3 or 4, 5 times a week. I try to be.
No, that's really cool. If you don't mind me
Yep.
asking, what's your day job?
I work at Southern States Harden Cooperative. It's a farm service store. We supply fertilize, feed, propane. It's basically a nutrient or fertilize plant like that.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, they're more common down in the southeast region of the United States. They're not up north at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of Kentucky and south is where most of our stores are at.
Sure.
So and I've got a Class B CDL, so I'm mainly in a big truck uh, this time of year, and well, really all year, hauling fertilize, feed, deliveries, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean it. I like the job. I don't have a problem with it.
Cool. Yeah, so obviously, because we're talking and because you know Tired Iron and you know Ross W, you have
Yep.
some sort of connection to Farming Simulator, and we can talk about that a little bit. I saw
Oh,
on your
I'm
channel you have a you had a couple videos from a year and a half or 2 years ago where you were playing some farming sims. So I was wondering if you had actually if you play the game actively or had played it until I saw those videos and I saw oh clearly yes he has. Um, how did you come across Farming Simulator and meet all these people in the community?
well. I guess we'll start with Farm Sim. I've been playing it since '09, so
Really?
yeah, I had it. We, if I remember correctly, whenever '09 first came out, I was with a mom in Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
and if you remember back then, they had the digital or the physical discs section of computer games and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just caught my eye. I saw that Fennec tractor on the cover,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, they make a farming simulator, and I think it was like $20 or something. So my mom got it for me, and I put it on our old Windows XP computer downstairs, and whew, it ran it rough, but I was able to play it.
That's what counts.
Exactly. And then I found out what Giant Software was, and they came out with a game every 2 years or so. So then I got 11 when it came out, 13, 15, 17, and I play 19 actively right now and everything. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, yep.
No, that's fantastic. And I wasn't sure what your history with the game was, but yeah, you obviously have a long history, so.
Oh yeah. Now, as far as the modding scene, yeah, I beg to differ on that. I I will say this: I did make a map for 19.
Oh, did you?
Yep. Not. It was kind of cabrafobbled together in like a week. I mean, it's playable. Don't get me wrong. There's a sell point and everything works like it should.
Yeah.
Uh, me and geez, that's going on 2 years ago that I made that. It was right after 19 came out. Me and This gets into Tired Iron and them. See, I live within like 10 miles of Tired Iron.
Oh, cool.
Yep, he's about 3 years younger than me though, and we were at tech school here in town, and we were in a class, and we had like 45 minutes before class started, and he was whipping up this computer, and he was working on a mod or something, and I said, okay, I'll bring my laptop tomorrow. I did that, and he showed me how to work Giant's editor and everything, and he said, all right, you gonna make you a map? And I said, yep, I'm gonna make one of our farm.
Nice. So you've actually met him in real life. You actually made your connections in real life. That's cool.
Oh yeah. He's been to the farm. He's actually, I think he's in one video of mine from a couple years ago or something.
Cool.
Yeah. We talk back and forth regularly.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. In this community, you can always make connections and stuff. So that's really awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I've got an interesting sort of topic. I've always been thinking from the perspective of somebody that both does real life farming and digital farming. What are some of the things you think that farming simulator players that don't actually, do real life farming or around real life farming? What is something you think the game is missing or something they take for granted?
Realistic pricing.
Oh boy.
Like when I sell a semi load of soybeans in real life, you don't get $70,000.
No.
I mean, it just don't work like that.
Nope.
So that's probably my biggest gripe is with how they've got the price, your inputs, and when you sell your grain, how that kind of correlates. That's not really how real life does it, but it's a game. I understand, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because if you do the math on like your dollars per bushel, it's actually kind of crazy sometimes. And you're like, wait a second, that's I wish crops were that price.
Exactly.
I'd be making a killing.
Exactly.
But no, yeah, for sure.
I will say one thing. Probably the only realistic part of how the prices work in that game is the equipment. It's generally that expensive in real life. So
yeah. And for sure, it's nice when modders do a good job of pricing their old equipment and pricing it realistically.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I generally run is a bunch of that older equipment, like pre-R series deers and all that stuff, because to me a Soundguard series intrigues me more than an R series. I could care less about the R series. I could care less about them. Honestly, they're comfy. I've rode in one. I drove one once, I think. They're awesome, but they're not worth $300,000. I'd rather have a $30,000 tractor that you can work on and everything, and just be as comfortable as that.
Sure, it gets the job done. Horsepower is horsepower sometimes when you're just doing things.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's really cool, and so can you think of anything else that you think Farming Sim is missing or dimensions that it doesn't have? And you could talk about this in relation to FS19 or from the angle of things you would like to see in Farming Sim 22, which I'm sure you noticed has been announced by now.
Yes, I have seen that, and I'm kind of half and half on it.
Yeah.
To me, I think they should just ride 19 for a minimum of like 4 years, honestly. Because right now is when mods are starting to come out at a good pace, and it's making the game feel better. Like you've got unit convert, you've got seasons, you got precision farming, you got all these different things that make the game more enjoyable to me, I feel like.
Yeah. You have more than just vehicle converts from FS17. You have, things that take a long time to make, like, precision farming and global company and all these really more than just equipment, all these really in-depth mods.
Yeah. And now they want to throw that away here later this year with another game where modders are going to have to just convert all that over again, where I feel like just run that game for another couple 3 years and then fine tune your next game, because I remember when 19 came out, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
The game was weird, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it felt like a half a leap. Like it felt visually, it was a great leap forward, but
Oh yeah.
everything else wise, it was pretty much more of the same. And you can tell they put a lot of development time into the visuals. And
Oh yeah.
it and I liked your point about writing things out longer, because I've spent time thinking about this. I'm a modder myself, and the thought of FS22 coming forward and looming is just like, oh boy, how much did they change things? Is it gonna be drop into a converter and have it done in a day, or is it gonna be another like 3 weeks of reworking all the textures and the modeling and stuff? It's kind of
Yep.
scary to think about, and especially a game like Farming Simulator that relies a lot on modders and extra content, I think could probably benefit from a system like I've never played Euro Truck Simulator, to be honest, but I hear, and I know a lot of people that do, and I hear them talk about it. They need a perpetual game, something that
Yeah.
like a live service sort of game, and a lot of games are moving towards that, and I think it would be a great idea for Farming Simulator. I don't know how possible it is, but you know,
Yeah, that's true.
but because Giant's engine is they say it's the only engine that can do what they need it to do, and you know what, that I believe them, that's fine, but I
Right.
don't know, but I think Giant's engine, a lot of engines are shared between multiple game companies, and so they get a lot of input and they get a lot of revenue from a lot of different game companies using their engine, and they can make massive changes all at once. Giant's
Right.
engine just belongs to Giants, and that's the only company that uses it and works on it. So
Right.
when they need to make a change, it's not a separate company working on their engine and adding features. It's an engine that was, I don't know how exactly it started, but I'm pretty sure it was built from the ground up. And when they need to do something big, like multi-threading or adding precision farming, or something that or seasons, something that fundamentally does something that changes the game code, that has to come
Yep.
from that's not done by a separate company. That has to be development time for the next game, which
Yep.
is
Yep.
which makes it really tough. And I don't know how feasible it would be to push, and that's the problem. Other games have well-established, large development teams, separately created engines that already have all the capabilities they need, and adding more features is only a matter of pulling more things from what the engine is capable of. When
Right. Yeah.
If Giants wants to add a feature, like let's say we want physics like Mud Runner or something similar to that, right? We want actual like ground depth and deformation and
Yep.
in simulation, and you had a live service farming simulator game, I don't even know how you would push an update out like that out without breaking all the maps and breaking all the mods that exist. And
Yep.
it's interesting to think about what that kind of trade-off would be. Would it be worth it to break mods occasionally to push out engine updates if you had a perpetual farming sim? But that's just one side of it.
Yeah. I mean, me, for somebody that just enjoys playing the game, you know, in the last, how long has it been? Couple, 3 months, Dinez Farms did that global. He released that map with the scripts
Mercer?
in it. I done forgot. Yeah, Mercer. Yeah,
Mercer
there you
County,
go.
yep.
I've got a save game with 75 hours on it with that game.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just fine tuning the rations and doing all that extra work makes sense to me, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy that more than 500 different kinds of brands of equipment, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the conundrum with the farming simulator. The cycle of the games is that right now, modders know what they're doing. At the beginning, I was modding it from almost the very beginning of FS19, and nobody really knew what they were doing. Some of the big guys
Yeah.
were figuring things out, but for everybody else, it was just a rat race to try to figure out what you knew and all these other things. And right now, there are resources, there are plugins for software, there are all these other things, and modders know what they're doing now. And we're really like, we really have a, like you said earlier, there's a good pace going. People know what they're doing. The quality of content that's coming out is far better than it used to be. And
Right.
It's actually, I was thinking about like what, like if say you're a John Deere fan, um is there a tractor that like a common popular tractor that isn't in the game? It's actually it's actually starting to get difficult to find a particular, unless you have, of course you could think of a dozen niche tractors, but all of the general popular ones, it's hard to think of a piece of equipment that you don't have or something very similar to. Like FS19 is, it's getting close to like mod complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can pretty much you can select whatever equipment you want to run, and it's generally out there in a roundabout way.
Yeah, something similar to it at least. And
Yeah, exactly.
it's like, I know the community is slowing down, and that's kind of the cycle of games, right? Like
Yeah.
it's popular at launch, and then it kind of levels off, and right now we're kind of at the low point. We're at a low consistent point where like the people that are really dedicated to the game are here, and they've been here and they stay here, and all the people
hmm
that come in and out as things launch and go and they gain and lose interest are kind of gone. And we have this really like solid foundation of the community that kind of knows what they're going on, and it's just a whole thing, and it's just kind of, it's just, for a game that needs mods this much,
Right. Yeah.
it's really hard to see that cycle start. It's going to be really hard to boot up the next game and realize, oh, I don't have any mods at all. I have
Exactly.
base game stuff.
What
So
what happened to what happened to my bushels per acre monitor that I had?
no, that's infuriating. I really hope in the next game they have a unit conversion option in the
Yes,
base game. I can't
because
believe they didn't have one in 19.
I hate leaders. Nobody does leaders here. I just
No,
yeah. My combine has 14,000 liters in it
that doesn't
instead
tell
of
me.
300.
I don't
Instead
have
of
a
300
reference.
bushels.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I really hope that they have more up their sleeve, and I believe that.
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah.
listened to their Farming Sim podcast where some of the like the developers or community managers talk about it, and they said
Uh huh.
they have a couple more things up. The one guy said that there's a new feature that isn't seasons or isn't anything that's been announced that he's really excited for, but they haven't revealed yet. And I still think they have a couple cards to play, and I'm hoping those cards
Oh,
are really
I
big
had
cool ones. If you haven't listened to it, and this goes for you too, audience, go check out the Farming Simulator podcast. It's on Spotify. It's probably on iTunes. It's in a bunch of different places, but it's three members of the um of their community manager team sort of talking about farming sim topics. And I didn't listen to it before because they were just talking about like the esports farming sim things and you know all this other stuff that doesn't really apply. But now that Farming Sim 22 has been announced, they're starting to, you know, talk about it and hint about it and kind of discuss it.
right.
So it's a really interesting listen, and I would recommend you go check that out because I'm sure the way they say things and the way they imply things kind of suggests more than their like official press releases have said. So,
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
yeah, you they know, that's the thing. When they talk about things, that you can tell from what they say and don't say is that they know things. They've seen the
Yeah,
game. They've probably play tested the game. They know things, but they can't talk about them. So it's interesting to hear the way they word things, and you can infer things off that. So
yeah. I'll
no, I
have to give
mean,
I'll
yeah,
have to give that a listen then.
I'd highly recommend it. It's a little cheesy, but it's good for fishing out ideas on what you think Farming Sim 22 might be.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's good. Okay.
no, yeah, that's really cool. I gotta ask, do you use the same sort of equipment in Farming Sim that you do in real life?
Well, with the with the thanks of Tired Iron and Ross, we have been able to get all of my equipment in the game
Nice.
except for one tractor. There's
What's
one
that?
tractor missing. That is a 5425.
Oh yeah.
It's it's a 2006 model. It's I don't know. It's one of those economy. It's the you've heard of the 5E series tractors, right?
Yeah.
From This is what that was at that time. It's just a 65 horse two wheel drive open station tractor.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, honestly, it's very versatile on the farm. It's better than an E series because we had it hooked to that three bottom plow to break open the garden,
Oh
and it
yeah.
pulled it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any footage of that or nothing, but
Right.
I mean, that tractor is versatile, and I like it. And that's the only tractor that I'm missing to have my entire fleet lined out.
Ooh. Well, maybe we'll
Yeah,
get one of those sometime.
yeah. I doubt it, but I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. I was concerned with the three big boys: the 44, the 72, and the 4055.
Because I remember Ross made the 7000 series
Yep,
earlier
and
in
then
Farming Sim.
yeah, and all he did was shorten the frame just a hair because that's a small frame versus
Mm-hmm.
his large frame. And then our 7210 is weird. It's got the exhaust coming straight up out of the hood.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I don't know. That tractor was bought brand new, and it's a 97 model.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle bought it brand new then, and he custom ordered it like that. And we never understood why.
Whoa.
Never have.
I didn't know
I
you could do
mean,
that.
yeah, I didn't either, but that was before I was born, but I had no say so, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, that's cool. No, that's real. Um, so you have almost all your equipment. Are there
hmm
are there we talked about, I don't know if you could think of what kind of things do you think are what kind of things would you have to see in the next game to go, okay, I know I'm going to lose my mods. I know I'm going to lose my save games and all this other stuff, but I'm going to commit to the next game because I know one of their big pushes is optimization, which is really
Right.
nice. They're going to have
Yeah.
multi-threading and texture streaming and DirectX 12 and ambient and all this other stuff. But what other things would you have to see in the next game to make you commit personally?
Uh, a better American starter map,
Okay.
honestly.
Ravenport
It,
didn't cut it for you? What?
no, no, I haven't even booted up Ravenport since the first day I bought the game.
Right.
Honestly,
I use it to test
honestly.
mods, but that's it. I never play
Right?
on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember,
I
but I did try it when, and I'm sure everybody did. It's like, oh, an American map, and then like you try it on launch day or whatever, and you drive around, and you're like, this is okay, and then you kind of explore, and this is kind of weird, and then you start
yeah,
noticing like all the
yeah.
trash and junkyards everywhere, and you're like, and how tight it
Gee,
is for being an American map. You just
yeah,
think,
exactly.
never mind, and then you never go back to it. Because
Yeah, I
honestly, the
mean,
European map felt nicer for Americans. You got because right off the European map, right? You have the dealership, you have a lake, okay, whatever, and then you kind of have that open area to the left, and you have these great rolling hills with the big mountains
right.
in the background. You're like, this feels almost better than the than the map they claimed was American. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I played more on Felsburn. I think
Yep.
that was the name
Yeah.
versus Ravenport. I mean,
Yep. No,
honestly, I did for
I
a
agree
bit
with you
there.
there.
But a better starter American map. Uh, we need, honestly, we need more older American equipment.
Right.
Like, I mean, they've got Deer in the game. They've got Case IH. Get some 55 series sound guards. Get some 86 series old internationals. Let's get some axial flows, some Walker system combines, and let's go from there. I mean,
I would be so excited if because I know we have sound guard models like 3D
uh
models for the game, and I did the 40 series at the beginning of
right. Yeah.
FS19, and
Yeah.
I know that model, and I know that Ross W and AAA have done a pretty good job of making
Oh, yeah.
models for the large frame, but
Yeah.
honestly, the small frames are still lacking. I know Black Sheep Modding did their small frame John Deere's, but they just don't look right or don't feel right or something's off about
Yeah.
them. If
Something feels off.
it does. And if Giants, because I know when Giants make something, they do a pretty good job of making it
Oh, yeah.
accurately. And if they made a Sound Guard series, oh my gosh, I would never stop using it.
Exactly.
I would never. But yeah, no, I agree because they have the older case combines in the game. That's kind of
Uh,
like their step ups, right?
what? I'm trying to think now. The oldest case combine I've ever seen standard is that 7130 axial flow.
Right.
That's the smallest case combine I've ever seen. But I'm trying to think. I can't. Well, you had the old New Holland. The old New Holland.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that kind of stuff just shows that, like, hey, older equipment isn't out of the question, which is
Right. Yeah.
cool, but it's so sparse. And especially
Exactly.
when you start it, just like in real life, in Farming Sim 2, when you start, like, when you don't have a lot of money but you do need 150 horsepower, you don't go, okay, well, let's look up a John Deere 5105M and get like a
Yeah.
150 horsepower tractor. You go to the used market because it's a third of the price, and it has
Exactly.
a big frame, and it was big horsepower for back in the day, so they built it sturdy, they built it for big jobs. and
Yep.
and it makes progression in Farming Sim with all these older mods feel a lot more natural, because it's like, okay, I've got
Yeah.
this piece of equipment from 82, and now I've got this piece of equipment from 96, and now I can afford newer stuff like a bunch of hours into the game. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
no, I
That
totally
would
agree with you.
that would make more sense to me. I mean, the way when I scrolled through the shop the first day of Farm Sim 19, you went from these small, I wouldn't call them old tractors, and then you went straight into the high class, uh, expensive stuff.
Yep.
There was no in between, and there was no really old way of starting out, I guess you could say.
Not unless you wanted to drive like the awkward Fiat tractor or whatever, that
Yeah,
orange and white
yeah,
one.
yeah, that weird thing.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It's either just old weird stuff, especially that Americans aren't familiar with, and then you go straight
Right.
to,
Yeah.
here's a John Deere 6000 series, or here's a New Holland T6 or whatever it is. So
Yeah, or a big track cat Challenger. So
exactly. So, and that would help a lot.
yeah,
So if Farm Sim 22 had a good American map, older equipment, and of course the performance updates
yep,
they
yep.
promised, would that be enough to get you to fully commit, no questions asked, or would you need one or two more things?
I mean, I would. I'm still going to buy the game. Let's be honest. I
Right,
mean,
sure,
I'm going to
sure.
buy the game, but the fact is, when I boot it up, am I going to be like, whatever? I'm going back to 19. I mean,
Exactly.
the same thing happened in 17, right before 19 came out. 17 was at that spot where we had all these awesome mods, and the way the game was being played, you felt like, okay, we're getting in a groove here. And then they came out with 19 and had to start all over again.
Yep, the new game comes out right as the old game starts to feel completed. It's like, oh,
Yep,
this
yep,
is the Farming Sim I wanted to buy 2.5, 2 years ago. And
exactly.
just
Yeah,
as it's finished, just as modders are getting their heads around things and they're really pushing out content, new game, relearn everything. So
yep, exactly.
that's definitely a valid frustration with the way things are in Farming Sim. And yeah, no, I agree with you. I know that a lot of the naysayers for FS22, they're going to buy the game anyway. And just because
Yeah,
they say they're still playing 19, they say they're still playing 19, they post screenshots of 19. I know they bought that game and I know they tried it. So,
yeah. I mean, it's the new game, so
right.
everybody's gotta buy it. So
And it's been longer than normal for a Farming Sim game. It's been
yeah,
an
I was
extra
gonna say,
year.
yep. So maybe that'll give Giants some time to figure their stuff out.
I hope so. I hope they used that extra year to their advantage, and they're self-publishing now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They're free of the whims of From Software. It'll be interesting to see if that helps them or harms them. I hope it opens up some doors.
exactly. I hope so too.
Is there a single mod that that you've always wanted that hasn't made an appearance in any Farming Sim game? Something nobody's been wanting to do or willing to do or capable of doing? Is there something you've always like been like, you boot up your save game, you're like, I just wish I had this?
A new idea, 5209 Discbine.
A new idea, 5209 disc bind. I'm gonna
Yep.
look this up right now
Okay.
so I have context.
We've got two of them that we
Mm-hmm.
mow hay with. They're just a 9 foot side swing Discbine.
Yep.
You cut hay with. It's not a hydro swing that you can move side to side. You go around the field with it to cut hay.
Oh yeah, it's got
I
a solid frame.
Yep, solid frame. Like I said, we've got two of them. One's a 2001 model, and it's been over a lot of acres.
Yeah.
So they're sturdy machines, and don't get me wrong, I like the New Holland disc binds that have come out and the new one that was in the game, but like I said, smaller farms, you need that smaller equipment. I
Right.
guess I could.
And I've seen these used ones are going for like maybe around $10,000 in good condition. So
Oh yeah, a good.
that's pretty affordable.
Yeah, exactly. Versus what I think it's like 30,000 for the New Holland Hydro Swing.
Yeah.
So that's the one mod I've always wanted.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Surprised you never got anybody to make it.
Well, I keep trying to poke tired irons, like, "Hey, buddy, hey."
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see him, like, "Hey, what about that 5209 disc bind?" No, he's always on something else. But whatever.
Of course.
I don't do much hay anyway in the game. I just mainly stick with grain. But it's
Yeah, we never talked about that. How do you like to play Farming Sim?
well, I cannot play a strict, legit save game.
No?
I always, nope. I always have to give me a little bit of money and then get the equipment I want. I don't always go with S series combines, 9Rs, and I don't go with the biggest. I go with what I want,
Right.
and then I just play from there.
No, yeah. And I think that's a fair way to play. Like,
Yeah,
start from this is totally a sandbox game. Start from wherever you want. The number like $500,000 or whatever for Farm Manager is totally arbitrary, and that doesn't always work with whatever map you have, right? Because Giants didn't design it, the modders did. So
exactly.
I don't
Because
consider that illegitimate.
there's some maps that you'll spend all that $500,000 on just to get one piece of land.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly.
Like some maps, like there's no option to buy anything that's like under like $100,000, and that's just one field. You don't even have space for a shed or a house or anything.
Nope.
So
Nope.
No, that's totally fair. Like
I'll tell you this: the last time I played a legit save game was in FS17 on South Mountain Creamery.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that map or not.
I do not know that map. No.
It was on the Mod Hub, I think, at that time, and it's like a Maryland map up northeast United States. Seasons ready and everything. It was a beautiful map.
Yeah.
And I had course play on there. I mean, I had it set up awesome. I'm running like 1,200 dairy cows on it right now.
Wow.
I can load up 17 right now. I still have the game installed.
Yep.
And go to that save game, and I've got like 250 hours on it or something.
Oh, that's
crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I played always on that map.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, you can definitely play like the smaller way, like I'm starting with just a little piece of land and a few pieces of equipment, or if you want to, you can spend dozens of hours on one save game, and then at the end you've got course play running tractors that you're barely paying attention to because you have so many things going on, and you've got so much money going in and out at the same time. It's nuts. So
yeah,
that's the beauty of Farming Sim. You can be a small farmer or an absolutely like ginormous farmer. So
yeah. And I've learned the more bigger the farm I run, the more FPS drops, and I'm like, yeah, let's not do this. Let's just keep running small stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that the next game really helps with that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I hope so too.
I hope we can get more detailed equipment, that we can have more equipment on the map, and we have less frame drops. And because, I mean, yeah, you can have a lot going on Farming Sim, but I'm really hoping that multi-threading and all these other things, they really unlock the potential of the Giants engine. And then once they have that down, then they can start adding. Once the performance is there, then they can start adding more deep features. And I'm hoping what kind of, do you have any other ideas on sort of like features you think, like, would you be excited if Giants came out and they said tomorrow, oh, in Farming Sim 22 we're going to have ground deformation and that kind of stuff?
Well, that would definitely be a turn on to buy it. Let's see. The one thing I always want is multi-terrain angle at launch on the ground.
Explain that to me.
Okay, when you're running a cultivator or a disc or planter, you ever noticed how ground follows that planter sometimes?
Yep.
That's what I want. And then when you're planting row crops, it follows the planter. It's not at a 90-degree angle or whatever. The corn's
Oh,
just in one set of rows,
that'd be so
and
nice.
yeah, that's the main thing I want. I don't know how feasible that would happen, but
Like, because right now they're pretty much ground painters. They just kind of paint
exactly.
like corn planted here
Yep.
notifications. But man, just
Yep.
imagine if you actually it created rows of individual crops that you actually had to follow with your combine, and then
Yep.
spacing would matter for tires and that sort of thing. It wouldn't just be a toggle on off for kills crops. You would actually have to drive in between rows.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, that's definite. Yeah, that's definitely something that, because it works fine for like seeders
Right. Yeah.
and
I mean, if you're running,
broadcasters and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, a grain drill with 7.5-inch spacings, that looks normal to
yeah,
me.
yep.
But when you're planting 30-inch corn, where's that 30 inches in between the corn?
Well,
I
isn't
mean,
the base game corn isn't even like 30 inches? It's like 24 or something weird, right?
it
Or
is. Oh gosh. Ugh.
it's not. It's weird. And I remember that something about their corn header in the game was weird too. They had like a. I think the corn in the game might be 30 inches, but I don't
Right.
remember. But I know their corn header is weird, and people were disappointed. And they pointed to that and they said, "Look, Giants doesn't even like care about row crops. They don't even pay attention to like
Wait,
what spacing header they put in the game.
was that the 5-row corn head
Something
at
like that."
launch? I
Yeah.
think it was a weird number.
Yep.
It was a 5-row. I think we were we were bashing that from the start.
Yep. It just yeah, I'm hoping they and I if you looked at the screenshots, you probably know this, but you saw that they had warning flashers, American flashers and triangles on the tractor there.
I did not see that.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, if you go look at their screenshots, you know they had that 9R pulling that
yeah, yeah,
cultivator. If you look at that
yep.
9R, it's got like some sort of American license plate up on the cab. It's got an orange triangle on the back and it has the road flashers on the sides.
Really, I didn't pay that much attention to it.
If you look at it, you can really see it. And if you look at the back of the cultivator, somebody else pointed out to me, you can see a slow moving vehicle triangle in the back of the cultivator too. So,
Oh, I see it now. I'm looking at a
yep,
picture.
yep. You
Yep,
look at
I
the
see it
flashers on
now.
the side, and I think it's almost an Iowa license plate on the top or something like that. Weird, but I mean, I'm hoping that's kind of a hint of more things to come, and I know that pretty much confirms there's going to be Americanized equipment in the base game, which is really
Well,
nice
yeah, I hope so too.
because it modders fix everything, right? Modders can fix everything, but
Yeah,
when the game comes out, the modders haven't fixed anything, and you have to try the game the way it is. And even for a while modders are getting things figured out, or your favorite tractor is coming, you do have to deal with the in-game equipment for a bit.
yeah,
And
yep, you do.
it would be really nice to at least just not have European warning squares on the equipment instead, and just kind of have what you want. So
Right, yeah. And something else I just thought of, just sitting here. You can do that. You can do this in 19 with a global company, leasing fields instead of having to buy them.
oh yes, of course. I remember I was talking about that the other day, and that's amazing because so many farmers rent land. It's it
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that's and that would be really nice for like game reasons too. It's like, well, I'm just starting out. I don't, but you just kind of like starting a farm and just buying land. That's not like a normal thing. You would definitely have to rent your way up for a bit and then
Yeah,
sign a like, you can farm it for this year, and then like when seasons rolls around to like spring day one, it's like, oh, you have to release it or whatever. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a normal yearly lease that you have to pay.
exactly.
Yep.
No, that would be awesome. How about some
That.
natural disasters?
Yeah, I could go with some tornadoes and floods and stuff
That'd
like
be
that.
that's not super important, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be
Remember the game American Farmer?
yeah, no, I played that all the time. That's the
I did.
if you ever watch one of these podcasts, that's the intro music to this
I know
podcast.
that every time I watch the first part of the video, that it just goes off in my head. American Farmer.
Yep, exactly.
But in that game, you had tornadoes coming through, hail would knock out your crops or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the market would reflect that too. So let's say every time I planted corn, hail would come through and knock it all out, but the corn price would jump up real big. So
Yeah. No, I mean,
I,
look at that. We
I
had
yeah,
deeper market and weather than in 2004 than we do in 2021.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
But I would get so excited when I saw a tornado come through my game. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool!" And I would like follow it and like stick my camera inside it. And I was like,
I would too. I did the same exact thing.
"Yeah, I knew it would ruin my fields, but I would just it was fun." So,
Yeah, I wish they would remaster that game. Honestly,
yeah, that was just it's just a fun little game. You know, it's just
yeah,
yeah,
it was it was more of a, what do you call it? Strategy game, I guess you could say,
sure, yeah.
more than a simulator. But I enjoyed the crap out of it.
Oh yeah, a lot of people did because there
Yeah.
was very little like it out at the time.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
all right, well, we're at 55 minutes, so
Are we really?
yeah, really. They always go so fast. People are always surprised. So,
Jeez.
I guess I got to cut it off here, but I wanted to thank you for joining me today. This has been a really fun talk.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast. Anytime.
Awesome. So, all right, let people know where they can find you. Where can we find your stuff? Where can we find where you are on the internets?
You can find me on YouTube at Farmerjon9660. You can find me on Instagram, Farmerjon9660. I'm probably a little more active on Instagram than I am YouTube, just because ease of posting and everything.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, follow me on Instagram and YouTube, the same username, Farmerjon9660, and that's really the only two things I'm on
If you
right
like
now.
watching yeah guys, if you like watching farmers, if you like watching that like online farming content, definitely go check him out. Meanwhile, as for me, you can find me, of course, here on YouTube at In the Endrows. Please subscribe. We have plenty more of these going to be coming in the future. You can find the Facebook page In the Endrows. I run Rooster Mods, so you can find me at facebook.com/Rooster Mods. I have a rotary hoe that I'm going to be releasing really soon, and um, yeah, I guess that's really about it. Anyway, guys, this has been In the Endrows, and take care.